The key question is, what is possible now? In turbulent times, when divisions and regressive policies threaten progress and problems seem daunting, is it still possible to see our way to a just and sustainable future?
Let us remember that there is a creative force in this universe, a power that is able to make a way out of no way and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. Let us realize that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
There is a tendency to think that what we see in the present moment will continue. We forget how often we've been astonished by the sudden crumbling of institutions, by extraordinary changes in people's thoughts, by unexpected eruptions of rebellion against tyrannies, by the quick collapse of systems of power that seemed invincible. What leaps out from the history of the past 100 years is its utter unpredictability.
Many years ago, I interviewed Desmond Tutu prior to the end of apartheid. And he kept saying, when we end apartheid, and I kept thinking, yeah, right, like dream on. I mean, I didn't want to, rain on his parade or anything, but in my heart of hearts, I thought, not in your lifetime. And lo and behold, a year and a half later, it was over. So it was a really profound lesson about what can happen when the will of people aligns.
We have defeated awful things like Nazism, like apartheid. What that says is that ultimately good prevails. It is a moral universe, despite all appearances to the contrary. It is that there's no way in which evil will ultimately triumph.
The policies, technologies, and movements that will lead to a new future are already emerging in the economy, in government, and in civil society.
In the United States, growing grassroots organizing is addressing two critical issues of our time: the corruption of our democracy and climate change. People are mobilizing to resist threats to our democracy so that we have fair elections where all voters count, and the influence of money and corporate power is removed from politics. And people are engaged in a wide range of actions to break our addiction to fossil fuels and reduce the level of carbon in the atmosphere.
The rapid growth in wind and solar energy, now price competitive with fossil fuels, is paving the way for a worldwide energy revolution. Renewable energy and other innovations are now providing an opening to truly address the threat of global warming.
The revolutionary concept of giving legal rights to nature, to rivers and forests, represents a radical new understanding of the human-Earth relationship, and it is spreading around the globe.
According to many experts, humanity already possesses the resources and technology to solve the world's most pressing environmental and social problems.
We know how to do these things. This is not a great mystery. We don't have to do research for the next 20 years to figure out what to do. We know what to do. We think it'll take about $200 billion a year to stabilize population, eradicate poverty, and restore the economy's natural support systems over the next decade. That's a lot. But when you compare it with military budgets, it's really not that much. It is less than a third of the US military budget. It is roughly an eighth of the global military budget. So we can't say we don't have the resources to save civilization. We do.
In business around the world, major corporations are implementing sustainability programs that focus on protecting the environment and supporting people. And social entrepreneurs are creating a new kind of company committed to the common good.
Normal companies have a legal obligation to maximize value for their shareholders, period.
We wanted to create an opportunity for a company to both make money and make a difference.
And so we created this nonprofit B-Lab to help support that global movement of entrepreneurs that was trying to use business as a force for good. And they're part of a community of 1,000 businesses from more than 80 industries across more than 30 countries that all share one unifying goal, which is to redefine success in business. And if they can do that successfully, one day all companies will compete not only to be the best in the world, but to be the best for the world.
New technologies and inventions are creating a design revolution that is not only improving lives, but also helping to clean up the environment.
A lot of people think that trash is inevitable. It's one of those necessary evils of life, but that's not true. Waste is actually the product of bad design, and bad design can be changed.
Innovative design is also creating low-tech solutions for the developing world.
At the heart of the transition to a new world, people everywhere are changing the way they are living, making new choices that support a more sustainable, just, and fulfilling society.
We think about global warming, we think about transportation, we think about how we heat our houses, but in fact how we eat has just as big an impact on climate change.
Given the profound impact of livestock production on greenhouse gases and the environment, more and more people are choosing to limit or remove animal products from their diet.
Everywhere on planet Earth, a vast and unprecedented global phenomenon is beginning to make itself known.
There is another superpower here on Earth. It is an unnamed movement. It is far different and bigger and more unique than anything we have ever seen. It flies under the radar of the media by and large. It is nonviolent. It is grassroots. It has no cluster bombs, no armies, and no helicopters. It has no central ideology. The very word movement is too small to describe it. This is humanity's immune response to resist and heal political disease, economic infection, and ecological corruption caused by ideologies. This is fundamentally a civil rights movement, a human rights movement. This is a democracy movement. It is the coming world. What you're seeing here is the beginning of a list of the 2 million organizations in the world that work towards social and environmental justice. And that's a minimum. It's the largest social movement in the history of humankind by far.
Powering this growing global phenomenon is the explosive digital communication revolution that is connecting and galvanizing a planetary human community.
People can now be connected nationwide to act locally in their communities, and then have all that local action united into one synchronized, beautiful, harmonic voice.
The only voice we have is this video editing. We don't know books, so we can't write much. But if we are able to do a small film of what is happening to us, it will go to the internet, and the whole world will see it.
We have the technologies, policies, and initiatives to create a thriving future. What's missing is something that only human beings can provide: the collective will to change the course of history.